Lena had never been the superstitious type. She grew up in a bustling city where ancient legends were nothing more than background noise to the fast-paced life around her. But something about that night felt different. She had worked the late shift at the hospital again, her exhaustion weighing heavy on her as she walked home through the nearly deserted streets. The usual chatter of the city was missing. It was unnaturally quiet. No honking horns, no distant conversations, not even the rustling of leaves in the cool night breeze. It was as if the world itself was holding its breath. That was when she saw it. A thin red thread, almost invisible in the dark, stretching from her pinky finger into the distance. She stopped, staring at it in disbelief. It shimmered slightly under the dim glow of the streetlights, as if it were not of this world. Her heart skipped a beat, a strange sense of unease settling in her stomach. Lena glanced around, but there was no one else in sight. The thread felt delicate, fragile, yet it tugged at her finger with an unnatural strength, pulling her forward. The sensation was faint at first, like a gentle invitation, but with each passing second, the pull grew stronger, more insistent, as if whatever lay at the other end was not willing to wait much longer. She thought about turning back, about going home, locking her door, and forgetting the whole thing. But something in the pit of her stomach told her that the thread would follow her, that it wasn't going to let her go that easily. So, with a deep breath, Lena decided to follow. As she walked, the red thread guided her down streets she had never ventured before. The fog thickened, swallowing the familiar city around her. The buildings grew older, more decrepit, their windows dark and empty like hollow eyes watching her. The streetlights flickered, casting long shadows that seemed to move of their own accord. The air grew colder, the silence more oppressive, and Lena began to regret her decision. But the thread kept pulling, and she couldn't bring herself to stop. Soon, she found herself in an alleyway that seemed to have no end, the narrow passage twisting and turning like a labyrinth. The red thread glowed brighter now, cutting through the fog like a beacon. The alley walls were covered in strange, faded murals, depictions of old myths and spirits she vaguely remembered from her childhood. One mural showed a young girl holding a red thread, her expression blank, her eyes wide and hauntingly familiar. The sight of the mural sent a chill down Lena's spine, but before she could turn away, she heard the soft sound of footsteps behind her. She froze, her breath catching in her throat. Slowly, she turned, and there, at the entrance of the alley, stood a figure. It was a girl, no older than 12, dressed in ancient robes, her long black hair falling in waves around her pale face. Her dark eyes were wide, unblinking, and she stared at Lena with an intensity that made her heart race. In her hand, the girl held the other end of the red thread. Lena's throat went dry. She wanted to run, but her feet felt glued to the ground. The girl's lips parted in a slow, eerie smile, her expression both innocent and unsettling. She didn't move, just stood there, holding the thread between them like a lifeline or a chain. Xiàn Nû, Lena whispered, the name coming to her unbidden. The red thread girl, a spirit from ancient Chinese folklore, said to appear to those who were lost, either in life or in destiny. But the stories were unclear. Some said she guided those who followed her thread to their true fate, while others claimed she led them to their doom. The girl tilted her head slightly, her smile never fading. She began to walk toward Lena, each step slow and deliberate. The red thread between them grew shorter, tighter, as the girl approached. Lena's heart pounded in her chest. She had to move, had to do something, but fear held her in place. "Why are you doing this?" Lena asked, her voice trembling. The girl said nothing, her dark eyes unblinking. She stopped just a few feet away, still holding the thread. The alley seemed to close in around them, the fog swirling like a living thing. Lena's mind raced. She remembered the old tales her grandmother used to tell her, the ones she had always dismissed as superstition. In the stories, those who followed the Red Thread Girl never returned the same. Some disappeared altogether, lost in the space between worlds.
"You should have turned back,"
the girl whispered, her voice barely audible. But it wasn't a threat, it was a warning. Suddenly, the thread between them went slack. The girl turned and began to walk away, disappearing into the fog. Lena's legs finally moved, and without thinking, she followed, the thread still connecting them. She didn't know why she was doing it, whether it was curiosity, fear, or something else entirely, but she couldn't stop herself. The alley twisted and turned, the walls closing in tighter. The further they went, the older the surroundings seemed to become. Ancient stone replaced brick, and strange symbols were carved into the walls. The air grew colder, and Lena's breath fogged in front of her as the eerie silence pressed down on her from all sides. Just as Lena thought the alley would never end, they emerged into a small courtyard. In the center stood an ancient well, its stone rim worn smooth by time. The girl stopped at the well's edge, her back to Lena. Lena hesitated, unsure of what to do. The red thread still connected them, pulsing faintly with an otherworldly energy. The girl turned slowly to face her, her eyes now filled with something deeper, something more sorrowful. "Why did you follow?" the girl asked softly, her voice tinged with sadness. Lena didn't know how to answer. The air felt thick, heavy, with an unseen force that seemed to cling to her skin. She opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. Without warning, the girl dropped the thread. It fluttered to the ground, dissolving into nothingness as it touched the earth. Then, with a final, sorrowful glance, the girl stepped into the well and vanished. Lena rushed forward, peering into the dark depths, but there was nothing. No sign of the girl, no sign that she had ever been there at all. The courtyard was silent, the fog swirling lazily around her. For a long moment, Lena stood there, her heart racing, unsure of what had just happened. Then, from deep within the well, she heard it, a soft, whispering voice.
"You should have turned back."
The sound echoed through the night, fading into the fog, and Lena felt a cold dread settle in her bones. She turned and ran, not daring to look back, the girl's voice still lingering in her ears. The true legend. The legend of Xiàn Nû, the Red Thread Girl, is an ancient tale passed down through generations. In Chinese mythology, the red thread symbolizes destiny, said to connect two people meant to meet, regardless of time or place. However, Xiàn Nû's story is one of mystery and fear. Unlike the romanticized version of the red thread, Xiàn Nû appears to those who are lost, offering them a path. But that path is not always one of hope. Some say the Red Thread Girl is a guide, leading those who follow her to their true fate. Others believe she is a trickster spirit, trapping souls in a limbo between worlds, where they wander for eternity, never to find peace. Throughout China, whispers of the Red Thread Girl have surfaced in eerie encounters. In 1983, a woman in the city of Chongqing reported seeing a red thread attached to her finger after waking from a strange dream. The thread led her to an abandoned part of the city, where she swore she saw a young girl disappear into an ancient well. The woman returned home, shaken, and claimed to hear whispers from the well in her dreams for weeks afterward. In 1997, a group of teenagers in a small village near Sichuan followed a mysterious red thread that appeared during a late-night walk. They said the thread led them to an old, forgotten temple deep in the woods, where they encountered a girl with vacant eyes who disappeared before their eyes. One of the boys later reported seeing the red thread tied to his finger every night in his dreams, but he refused to follow it again. Though the legend of Xiàn Nû is ancient, these recent encounters suggest that the Red Thread Girl still walks among us, waiting for the next person to follow her thread and discover where it truly leads. Next time you see a red thread in the night, be careful where it leads. The Red Thread Girl might not be guiding you to your fate, but to your doom. If you enjoyed this chilling tale and want to hear more eerie legends, be sure to like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a scare. And don't forget, there's another story waiting for you on the screen right now. See you in the next one, unless Xiàn Nû finds you first.